Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. We're plunging back into history and culture today.
That's right. We're aiming to unearth these stories that, really shift how we see things.
And today, it's quite a journey. We're heading back to 17th century Portugal
Hmm.
to unravel, well, one of history's most fascinating and honestly passionate literary mysteries.
The love letters of a Portuguese nun. It still resonates, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for that, shortcut to being really well informed about something big,
Something that really broke the mold back then.
exactly, defied all the conventions but still packs an emotional punch today,
Mhm.
then yeah, you're in the right place.
Our goal, like always, is to take all this information, the history, the analysis, the research,
A whole stack of it.
yeah, big stack,
Yeah.
and boil it down to the really important stuff, the insights.
With maybe a few surprising facts thrown in, keep things interesting.
Definitely. It's going to be, well, an intellectual and emotional journey, I think.
Okay, so what's the plan? What are we tackling?
Right. Three core things. First, we really need to understand the life, the world, of the woman usually credited as the author, Mariana Alcoforado.
Set the stage.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then we have to dive into the letters themselves. Feel that raw emotion.
Ugh.
It's intense.
I bet. 5 letters.
5 short, powerful letters. And finally, we need to unpack the big mystery. Who actually wrote them and what's their lasting impact, that cultural footprint?
Okay, so we're covering her life, the letter's emotional core, and the whole authorship debate, plus the legacy. Got it.
Yeah, it's about giving you, the listener, that nuanced picture. This story really shook up the French nobility,
Hard to imagine now.
It is. But we want to give you those aha moments without it feeling like a lecture.
Perfect. A window into this shattered heart, but delivered in a way that gives you real knowledge fast.
Precisely. So let's start by stepping back into her world.
Yeah.
Where does this story begin?
Okay, so to really get the power behind these letters, we need to picture 17th century Portugal.
It's crucial context.
Yeah, because this isn't a peaceful time. Portugal is deep in the Restoration War against Spain.
A really defining conflict for them. It started back in 1640, trying to shake off 60 years of Spanish rule.
60 years. Wow.
And this war drags on 28 years
Right.
until 1668. So think constant tension, fear, economic mess.
Just a really volatile backdrop for anyone's life.
Absolutely. And that's the world Mariana Alcoforado was born into. In Beja, 1640, right at the start of the war, basically.
And her life takes a turn pretty early on, doesn't it? A really dramatic one.
It does. And it's heart-wrenching, really, when she's just 11 years old.
11.
11. In 1651, she's forced into the convent of the Conception.
Forced, not like a calling.
No, absolutely not. That's the key thing here. It wasn't about religious vocation for her.
So why? Why put an 11-year-old in a convent?
Well, a few reasons, all very pragmatic, very 17th century. First, honestly, protection.
From the war.
Exactly. The war with Spain was brutal, ongoing. Beja could have been a target. Convents offered a kind of safety for daughters of noble families. It was harsh, but common.
A safe house, basically, but permanent.
Pretty much. And second, it was apparently stipulated in her mother's will.
Her mother wanted her to be a nun.
Seems so. Families often vowed children to the church, sometimes for spiritual reasons, sometimes social, sometimes it was cheaper than a marriage dowry.
Wow. So her fate was sealed by her parents. Her father made the final call.
Yes, her father made the decision. She was cloistered, and that meant total enclosure, strict vows, poverty, chastity, obedience, a life of prayer, work, silence, very limited contact with the outside world.
So she's stuck there, no calling for it, probably missing her family, wanting freedom. You can just imagine the psychological weight of that.
Immense. A young girl locked away from life. But of course, life, or maybe fate, had other plans. Something happens to disrupt everything.
Right, the catalyst. What was it?
A French regiment arrives in Beja. It's 1667 now. They're led by Frederick de Schomberg.
Why are the French there?
To help Portugal in the war against Spain, France was a key ally.
Okay, so military presence.
Exactly. And Mariana is at the convent window, the Mercola window it's called. Apparently became quite symbolic later.
And she sees someone.
She does. Her gaze meets that of a young, dashing French officer, Noël Bouton de Chamilly, the Count of Chamilly.
And this is the moment.
This is the moment. The accounts describe it as immediate, overwhelming, love at first sight.
Wow, like out of a story. But this is real.
Apparently so. Mariana's 20 years old by now,
Yeah.
still confined, obviously. And this passion just takes over. completely.
All-consuming passion, the sources say.
Yes, and it leads to something incredibly risky. He's smuggled into her cell, secretly, for several nights in a row.
Into the convent, into her cell.
Yes. You have to understand, for the 17th century, it's almost impossible to overstate the scandal.
Unimaginable, the outline calls it.
Truly. A nun consecrated to God, having secret trysts. It defied everything. Religious vows, social codes, family honor. The danger was immense.
For both of them, presumably.
Absolutely. Reputation, possibly even their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for her, from a prominent family.
So how does it end? This secret affair can't last, can it?
Tragically, no. Predictably, perhaps. Word gets out. Secrets like that rarely stay secret for long.
Uh-oh.
Bouton, the French officer, panics. He's in a foreign country involved with a nun. The consequences could be dire.
So he runs.
He flees Portugal abruptly. Makes up some flimsy excuse about a sick brother.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, pretty transparent.
Wow.
And he promises to send for her.
Does he?
Never. It was an empty promise. He leaves her there.
It's just abandons her. After all that risk, that passion.
Completely abandoned.
Yeah.
And she's left. Well, she's left at that window, the second-floor convent window, apparently.
Waiting.
Waiting in vain. Waiting in vain. And the waiting doesn't kill the love, strangely. It seems to twist it, intensify it.
Into something else.
Into this impossible and desperate passion, as the sources put it. She's consecrated to God, remember. Her life isn't hers. And now she's consumed by this love for a man who betrayed her.
The psychological torment must have been unbearable.
Oh.
Seclusion, despair, abandonment.
Exactly. And it's right there, in that crucible of suffering, that the Portuguese letters are born.
Part of that pain.
From that absolute depth of personal tragedy, transforming it somehow into art that lasts centuries.
Wow. Okay, so let's get into the letters themselves. This is where we hear her voice, right? Or, well, the voice attributed to her.
Precisely. There are 5 letters. They were published in French in Paris, 1669, anonymously at first.
And they tell a story, like an emotional arc.
Definitely. You see this progression? It starts with a kind of fragile hope, maybe, then moves into doubt, suspicion, and finally just this crushing certainty that she's been abandoned.
It's like watching a heartbreak in real time.
It really is. And it's not just about love. It's about grief, obsession, trying to find some power when you have none. A real psychological deep dive in itself.
So the first letter, how does it start? Gently.
Not at all. It's intense from the get-go. She immediately confronts him, calls him out for his thoughtlessness, the cruelty of his absence.
Straight into the pain.
Right away. And she declares her life belongs to him. But here's the twist. She says she finds pleasure in sacrificing herself for him.
Pleasure in sacrifice, that's complicated.
It is. The sources call it almost pathological devotion. Like, the only way she can connect is through self-negation.
Is there a specific line that captures that?
There's one. 1,000 times a day, my sighs go to meet you, seek you everywhere, and in return for such restlessness, they only bring me signs of my misfortune. You feel that constant, fruitless searching.
Yeah, you really do. And you mentioned emotional swings.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
In this same letter, she goes from blaming herself, asking his forgiveness, to then accusing him. Why didn't you leave me in peace in my convent? How did I ever wrong you?
Holding him responsible for her turmoil.
Yes. Pointing out he shattered her previous life.
Yeah.
But then comes the really striking part, psychologically.
The part about suffering.
Exactly. She actually pleads with him to make me suffer even more.
Why? Why would she ask for that?
It's debated, of course. Maybe pain was the only proof of love she felt she had left. Or maybe it was the only way she felt connected to him anymore. A kind of dark agency in her powerlessness.
That's incredibly complex. How does she end that first letter?
With this really powerful, almost disturbing line. Farewell, I can't go on. Farewell, love me always and make me suffer even more. It leaves you reeling.
Wow. Okay, so letter 2. Does the tone shift?
It does. The frustration grows. She's less focused on her internal torment, maybe, and more on directly accusing him.
Calling him out.
Yeah. She says she can't trust him, accuses him of forgetting her, calls it a shame for him. It's a step up from the first letter's pleas. There's more anger, maybe a sense of injustice creeping in.
Does she still feel the same way, though, the passion?
That's the thing. She acknowledges her own blindness, her naivety, and thinking he'd sacrifice everything for her. She sees that now.
So the illusion is cracking.
A little. But she says her passion is unshaken. She even says, no, I prefer to suffer even more than forget you. And then asks, and is that in my control?
Yes.
Like, she can't help it.
So she sees his flaws, maybe his betrayal, but the love itself? It's still there, still burning.
Exactly. She says, I cannot reproach myself for having wished for even a single moment to stop loving you. It's become part of her identity.
And there's that bit about pitying him, right? That strange sense of superiority.
Yes. It's such a fascinating twist. She tells him straight up, you are more to be pitied than I.
Because her suffering is real, and his pleasures are shallow.
That's the implication.
Mm.
It is better to suffer as I do than to have the easy pleasures that your lovers in France will give you. I do not envy your indifference at all. I pity you. It's a way of claiming moral high ground through her pain.
Finding strength in the suffering. And didn't she mention something about being the doorkeeper and people thinking she's mad?
Yes, she does. It's a small detail, but telling. Being made the constant doorkeeper may be more exposure to the world she's lost. And acknowledging that others see her distress, think she's mad. It shows her silent rebellion, her internal state impacting her external role.
Still clinging to him, though, even with this growing awareness.
Oh, absolutely. The letter ends with profound vulnerability. She mentions her failing health.
Which could be psychosomatic, right? Grief manifesting physically.
Very possibly, especially back then. And she talks about the comfort his portrait gives her. I spend my time gazing at your portrait, which I love 1,000 times more than my own life.
Just clinging to an image. Wow. So, letter 3, does the pain deepen further?
It really does. And it becomes more questioning, more focused on his lack of sincerity.
She starts doubting his feelings for her back then.
Exactly. She questions the authenticity of Bhutan's passion. Says point blank, I now recognize the falseness of your rapture. You deceived me every time you spoke of the enchantment you felt when alone with me.
Ouch. That's gotta hurt. Realizing the whole thing might have been a lie.
It's shattering. But even then, there's this paradox. She insists she would have faced even greater dangers for him, highlighting her own commitment, almost contrasting it with his perceived deceit.
Still justifying her own feelings, in a way.
Perhaps. And the despair here gets really dark. Morbid, even.
She talks about death.
Yeah. She wishes she could die, hoping her tragic death might force him to think of her more.
Using death as a way to get his attention, basically. That's desperate.
Utterly desperate. It shows how consumed she is. The letter sums up this desperate passion. I thus accept, without a complaint, my ill fortune, since you chose not to make it better. Farewell. Promise me that you will miss me if I should die of grief.
Still pleading for him to remember her, even in death. It's heartbreaking.
It really is. The depth of her entanglement with his suffering is just profound.
Okay, 4th letter. Is there any shift? Any glimmer of hope or just more despair?
It's complicated. A real mix. She hears some news of him, but indirectly. Through a lieutenant.
Not from Bhutan himself.
No. And for a second, she's worried about his safety. But that flicker of concern quickly turns sour. She gets irritated, then bitter, that he's not communicating directly.
The silence is getting to her.
Deeply. She looks back at how attentive he used to be and feels deceived all over again. And she asks that devastating question. Why pick me to make him so miserable, especially when you knew you weren't staying?
Accusing him of using her, essentially, knowing he'd leave.
Pretty much. Intentional cruelty. And the letter really paints a picture of her life in the convent now.
How so?
She talks about her aversion to everything. Family, friends, the convent itself. Nothing brings comfort.
It's all tainted by him.
Completely. Her passion for him is so total, she feels guilty if she's not thinking about him every second. It's consumed her life, her duties, everything.
And others notice this change.
Oh, yeah. Even the nuns, her own mother, they see this complete change of character, her withdrawal, her sadness, and they pity her. Her private pain is becoming public, even within those walls.
That must have been isolating, too, being pitied like that.
Absolutely. And then there's that really poignant bit about the Mertola balcony.
The place they first met.
Yes. She describes being taken there, maybe to cheer her up, but the memory is just too painful. It triggers overwhelming grief.
Reliving the beginning, now knowing the end.
Exactly. She says she spends the day in tears, remembering those first innocent feelings, how she watched him, cared about everything he did, contrasting that past joy with her present agony. It anchors the pain to a specific place.
God, that's vivid. Okay, so the final letter, letter 5. Does she finally break free? Or is it more of the same?
This is where we see a real attempt at liberation. But it's a struggle. A huge internal battle.
How does she try to break free?
She declares she's writing for the last time, a conscious decision. And she promises to return his things, his portrait, the bracelets he gave her.
Physical symbols of their connection, trying to cut the ties?
Right. But even as she does it, she admits the conflict. She says, I want to feel to the very end the pain of parting with them and at least cause you some annoyance.
So it's partly about closure, but also partly a last little jab at him, trying to get some reaction.
Exactly. A desperate bid for some kind of agency, some impact, even a negative one.
Hmm.
But the pull is still strong. She admits something incredibly revealing.
What's that?
It is less painful to go on loving you than to leave you forever.
Wow. The pain of loving him is actually easier than the pain of letting go completely.
It's like an addiction to the suffering itself. The known pain is safer than the unknown void without him. And then she has this moment of stunning self-analysis.
What does she realize?
She says, I discovered that I loved you less than my passion itself.
Whoa, so she loved the feeling, the obsession, more than the actual man.
That's what she seems to be saying. And I suffered bitterly in fighting it, after your unworthy conduct made your whole being hateful to me. She recognizes his flaws made her hate him, but fighting the passion itself was agony. And then she adds, but your indifference is intolerable.
His indifference was the ultimate insult, worse than anything else.
It seems so. That lack of reaction, that silence, was the thing she couldn't bear. This letter is her trying to claw her way back. She blames her youth, innocence, and convent isolation for being so easily deceived.
Taking some power back by understanding how it happened.
Exactly. And she ends with that firm promise never to write again. Whether she kept it, we don't know, but it seals these 5 letters as this incredible raw testament to love, loss, and abandonment.
A timeless portrait, really. Powerful stuff. So these letters get published in Paris, 1669, anonymously. What happens? Do they just disappear?
Disappear, no way. They cause an absolute sensation. Immediately.
Really? People notice them right away.
Big time. They were hailed as the most moving of their kind. The story goes they made the nobility of France quiver.
Quiver? That's quite a reaction. Why such a huge impact?
Well, think about France then. Louis XIV, Versailles, very formal, lots of rules about behavior, decorum, neoclassical ideals, valuing reason, order.
Right. Not exactly known for raw, messy emotion in public.
Precisely. Salons discussed refined sentiments, idealized love, and then bam, these letters land. Intimate confessions from a nun about forbidden passion, sin, sorrow.
It must have been shocking. The ultimate taboo, almost.
Totally revolutionary. It injected this sharp taste of sin and sorrow, as one source puts it, into a society that was often quite frivolous on the surface. It was real, raw, and deeply personal in a way that was startling.
And you said they foreshadowed romanticism. How so?
Because they prioritized individual feeling, intense emotion, the inner struggles of the heart over reason and social convention. That's pure romantic territory, decades before the movement really took off.
So they were ahead of their time, artistically.
Way ahead, and hugely influential. Big names later, like La Bruyere, Sainte-Beuve, they were inspired by them. It really impacted how novels, especially letters as novels, developed.
Okay, but here's the million-dollar question, right? The one that still causes arguments.
The big one. Who actually wrote them?
Because it wasn't definitively Mariana.
Well, that's the enduring mystery. It lingers to this day.
So what are the theories? Who else could it have been?
There are quite a few. Interestingly, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, the famous philosopher.
Yeah. What did he think?
He doubted a woman could have written them. He thought they were too beautiful.
Too beautiful for a woman. Seriously.
And seriously, that was his take. Reflects a misogyny at the time, perhaps. He figured it had to be a man, maybe a French writer, or even Portuguese writers like Herculano or Castelo Branco.
Wow. So the quality itself was used against her potential authorship.
Kind of ironic, isn't it? Then there's the publishing mystery. How did they even get to Claude Barbin, the Paris publisher? Nobody knows for sure.
Which leads to speculation.
Exactly. Maybe they weren't real letters at all. Maybe it was a brilliant piece of fiction, marketed as real.
Like 17th century viral marketing. A scandalous nun's secret letters guaranteed bestseller.
Could be. A talented writer could have crafted the whole thing, knowing it would cause a stir.
Okay, but there's evidence against that, right? The language.
Yes, and this is a strong counter-argument. The French, they're written in, it has quirks. Marked traces of Portuguese syntax, the sources say.
Meaning?
Meaning the sentence structure, the word order, it sometimes feels a bit off, like someone translated them literally from Portuguese, and the original Portuguese phrasing is still showing through.
Or written by someone who knew French but wasn't a perfect native speaker.
Exactly. Either a translation of lost Portuguese originals, or written by someone like Mariana, whose first language was Portuguese but who knew French. That linguistic fingerprint is hard to ignore.
Does anything else support Mariana possibly writing them, or at least being connected?
Well, there's the discovery that her family, the Alcoferados, actually had a lot of French books in their library.
So they were familiar with the language.
It suggests they were, which could mean Mariana had enough exposure to write in French, or maybe someone bilingual in the household translated her Portuguese letters for her. It fits either way.
What about more modern theories? Anyone specific named?
Yes, more recent scholars sometimes point towards Gabriel de Guilleragues,
Who was he?
a French diplomat, journalist, well-connected in literary circles in Paris at the time. He definitely had the skill.
So he might have heard the real story and fictionalized it.
That's the theory. He could have taken the core scandal, which was real, and turned it into this literary masterpiece. But honestly, the sources mostly conclude,
We'll probably never know for sure.
pretty much, the authorship question remains an enigma. Part of their enduring fascination, maybe.
But the woman, Mariana Alcoforado, she was real, and the affair happened.
Oh, absolutely. That's historically verified. Mariana existed, the scandal with Noah Bouton de Chamilly was genuine, and her life, because of these letters, became famous. It inspired tons of plays, books, adaptations over the years.
Okay, so what happened to the real Mariana? After the letters, after the heartbreak, does she just fade away?
And this is the truly amazing part, the surprising twist. No, she doesn't fade away, she recovered.
Recovers from that.
Seems so. The sources say she eventually recovered from her sadness, which is remarkable given everything.
How? What did she do?
She dedicated herself to her life as a nun. Through her good works, charity, service within the convent, spiritual practice, she actually earned respect. She gained the title soror.
Like sister,
Mm.
a term of respect.
Yes, and even more incredibly, she eventually rose to become the abbess,
Abbasis, head of the convent.
head of the same convent, the convent of the Conception, where it all happened.
Wow. That's not the ending you expect for this story.
Not at all. Being abbess was a position of significant authority, responsibility, managing the convent, guiding the nuns. She earned it through decades of service.
So she found purpose, power even, within the very walls that had first imprisoned her and witnessed her heartbreak.
Exactly. And she lived a long life.
Whoa.
Died at 83 in 1723 in that same convent.
83. So the woman who felt that intense passion, that devastating sorrow, she not only survived, she thrived, found meaning.
It's an incredible testament to resilience, isn't it?
Mhm.
So, yeah, the authorship might be a mystery, but the impact of the letters and the real Mariana's later life, it's undeniable.
Which really brings us back to the power of the story itself. Doesn't matter who wrote it, in a way.
Right. Whether it's Mariana's own words or someone else capturing her soul, the narrative resonates because it touches something universal.
That vulnerability, the passion, the pain of being left behind, but also that search for meaning, for strength, even when things seem hopeless.
Exactly. These experiences cross centuries, cultures. They speak to us.
So the love letters of a Portuguese nun, they're way more than just letters.
Oh, much more. Their history a peek into a hidden life. Their literature raw emotional power on the page. And they're this timeless testament to human feeling. Forbidden love, loss, freedom. It's all in there.
And Mariana's story, or the story told through the letters, it still grabs us. We feel her pain, but maybe also her, I don't know, her ultimate resilience.
I think so. It proves passion, suffering, and yes, recovery are just part of the human condition. They transcend time.
So as we wrap up, maybe a final thought for our listeners to chew on.
Yeah, something to think about. When a piece of writing hits you this hard emotionally, when it feels so universally true.
Like these letters do.
Exactly. How much does it matter if it's a literal, factual cry from one specific heart versus a brilliant piece of fiction that captures that cry perfectly?
Does knowing or not knowing the truth change its power for us as readers? Does it diminish the insight it gives us into being human?
That's the question. Does the distinction between fact and fiction ultimately matter when the emotional truth resonates so deeply?
Something to definitely mull over. It speaks volumes about how stories shape us, regardless of origin.
We hope you keep exploring these kinds of hidden histories, the wild ride of human emotions, and just the incredible power words have.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this really fascinating deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring.
Subscribe to the Timeless Tales podcast. Your stories, your time.